Love it when it does that. All right, welcome everybody again. Thank you guys so much for being here. My name is Kristin Anderson. I'm the Chief Branch Officer of Ideas for Us. And if you aren't familiar with Ideas for Us, we are a global environmental nonprofit. And what we do is we work to develop and scale and implement long-term local solutions to global climate issues. And we do this by mobilizing leaders here in Orlando and also in our branches around the world to kind of ask the community, what are the issues that you see here and how can we do something about it? And then mobilizing volunteers to actually take the boots on the ground action. So that's what we're all about. We're really excited to have you all here today to kind of be a part of this. A really big part of our programming is education. What education means to me is learning from you all and everyone sharing the information that we all hold, because all of us have a different frame of reference. And I'm super excited to hear what you guys have to say too and learn different sustainable life hacks. So this workshop I'm really excited about just because sustainability is something that I've loved implementing in my life for the past probably 8 years. I'm still kind of a noob, but it's never too early and it's never too late. And I'm super excited to talk to you all about this today. This workshop was put together by the Orlando Eco Organizing team. So I'm going to give us all a moment to introduce ourselves. So yes, like I said, my name is Kristin Anderson. I'm the Chief Branch Officer of Ideas. I have a bachelor's in conservation biology, and I just spend my time working to educate people on environmental issues and also giving people the opportunity to take action against climate change. And I'll pass it over to Julian.
Hi, I'm Julian. I am a student at Rollins and an intern here at Ideas for Us and an eco organizer. And yeah, just super passionate about the environment.
Awesome. Melissa?
Yeah, my name is Melissa. I'm also an eco-organizing intern. I'm currently a student at Stetson University, and I'm studying communications with the emphasis in environmental communications. And I'm super happy to be a part of this team.
Awesome. Joelle?
My name is Joelle. I'm still in high school, and I'm an eco-organizing intern, and I started interning here because I wanted to do something and give back to the planet, and I feel like we have given back to the planet.
Awesome. Seriously, like this team is so important because when you care about climate change and you go out there and do something about it, it really does make such a difference and also inspires other people as well. So we'll talk more about how to get involved in a deeper level. But first, I would love to get to know everybody in this call. So please go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. Put your name, pronouns, school, organization, affiliate, anything about yourself that you would like us to know. This is going to be a pretty interactive workshop. Like I said, we'll have chances for you to go ahead and put things in the chat. But if you have questions at any time, you can also go ahead and put it in the chat or speak up. We're going to have a time for you to share your favorite sustainable life hacks. So I would love it if you all had some of those prepared, if you would like. And we can also share this presentation with you at the end. So feel free to get to know each other and say whatever you want in the chat. We'd like to make this a fun and lively conversation. So today what we're going to be talking about is going over a few things, the 3 R's in waste-free living, which I think is a really great topic to discuss. I tried waste-free myself, and knowledge is power. It is extremely difficult to do it unless you kind of have some information, know what you're doing. And then we're going to go into sustainable diets and sustainable shopping, and then taking action and what that can look like. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Julian to get us started.
Thanks, Kristin. So the 3 R's, and we're going to break them down. So the basic thing is to live mindfully about what we buy, about what we do. So the first and most important one is to reduce, to lower our consumption, really think about what we're buying. The second is reuse, to reimagine what we already have. How can we actually use what we have to fulfill our needs? And then the last is to recycle. So we have to keep that in mind and to make informed decisions about how we recycle it. So between 2009 and 2020, the Orange County landfill received over 1,081,000 tons of waste, which is incredible. This is actually a picture of the Orange County landfill, which is insane. So the first one, reduce. So reducing our consumption is the most important part. We need to ask ourselves what we really need. And the first step to reducing is defining what we really value. So what we really want to get out of the product. And the next one. So how to reduce. The first question obviously is, do I really need it? That's something we really have to ask ourselves. And then also taking into account the packaging of a product. So like, we're not only buying the product, we're buying the packaging as well. So we have to think about how that's going to go into our environment, how it's going to affect our lives. And then we also have to reimagine how things that we already have could fulfill these needs, which goes to the next one, reusing. So this requires using our imagination, which is always fun. We need to look at different uses for things that we might already have, or things that we might throw in the trash, like these little tin cans. Just recently, I've been replanting some palm trees, and I've been needing some pots. And I just went through our recycling can, and so many things where I started using as a pot, which is fantastic. So, so we have to look at where we get things. And then the next one of how to really reuse, which is fun. So we can go thrift shopping and antiquing instead of buying new, or dumpster diving. There's a great TikToker that shows all of the trash that's being thrown away at these companies. And it's not really trash, it's just things that they can't sell, or for different reasons need to throw out. But it's incredible what you can find in the dumpsters. So another one is, what I said before, of using packaging and cups as pots, different uses for it. And then asking others if they have a use for an item. So asking your friends and family if they would have any use for this. Odds are that someone can figure out what to do with it. And then the next one is recycle, which is the last step of the whole thing. We need to be mindful of where we recycle in the end. Most products can be recycled as long as you're willing to put in the time to figure out where to recycle it. And the next one. So how to recycle. Here are all the different types of plastic. So when you see the little symbol at the bottom of a water bottle or stuff like that, you tend to not really know if it's really recyclable. So here it's numbers 2, 4, and 5 are the most recyclable, and the rest are a little bit more difficult, but there are ways. So an important thing is to make sure that all the items are clean for the recycling process. And of course, be mindful when you first buy, and make sure that it can be recycled. And also, this is important to think about with where we buy things. So like, if we ask our coffee shops or other businesses to use more recyclable products, that might help. And then keep up with our city and county codes. So a quick search online usually can tell you when they're picking up for certain recycling things. And in the chat, I'm going to send a list of websites that will be really useful for Orange County, Seminole, and Osceola. And then the next one. Yeah, these are just in broad terms where you can really recycle. So e-waste, there's always the little bins in front of Best Buy that you can throw out. They have like cables, batteries that you can throw out there. And then there's the Orange County e-waste facility, which that's the address. And then for hazardous waste, it's the same thing at the Orange County waste facility. But also for like paints, you can reuse that. I mean, people always need paint. You don't really need new paint all the time. And then plastic bags, of course, at Publix, at the designated green bin, and styrofoam as well at Publix. They have the the designated green bin for styrofoam. And then this is just a good little quote. If it can't be reduced, reused, repaired, rebuilt, refurbished, refinished, resold, recycled, or composted, then it should be restricted, designed, or removed from production. So we can all do that with our voices, telling companies what we really want.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Keeping things in a closed loop system. I don't know if you guys have heard that term, but basically where everything can go in a circle and nothing leaves that circle unless it absolutely has to be, is really incredible. And we're able to move that cradle to cradle. Exactly. Thank you so much, Julian. And we'll pass it on over to Melissa.
So eating sustainably and diet, you know, all that stuff is something that I'm really passionate about. So I'm very excited to be talking about this. I just wanted to start out talking about the implications of the food industry. It has grown to be an increasingly concerning topic, especially with all the documentaries that have come out in the past decade, just kind of exposing the agricultural industry. I'm not going to read this chart line by line, but as you guys can see, impacts are incredible. The biggest part being the biodiversity. I mean, the amount of mammals that take up space, the amount of fresh water that's taken up, because it's not just physically just the animals or the crops taking this water. It's the crops that they need to grow in order to feed the animals, or the water that they need to have the animals drink water. You know, it kind of just all goes hand in hand. So it's incredibly impactful, this industry. But yeah, just like I said, where does our food come from? I feel like in society today, it's so fast paced and we're kind of just going from thing to thing. We're not really thinking about like, oh, well, I'm eating at Chipotle, but where did this food come from? Did they source it ethically? Was it made in factory farming? I think it's really important to educate ourselves on where this stuff is coming from, what these companies are doing with the food, how they're raising their crops or their poultry or their beef or anything along those lines. But yeah. But yeah, in summation, eating has become extremely central to society. It's not only like just a human thing, it's a cultural thing. Like when we go from country to country, we can see different cultural dishes that have become like an integral part of their like familial lines. So food is extremely important. However, the way that we're, you know, taking care of our food or raising our food or harvesting our food is no longer in a sustainable fashion. It's just overconsumption has gone rampant. Then we just need to slow down. But on an individual level, it's tough to kind of take everything into account and like feel like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. It's, you know, there's too much, but that's definitely not the case. There's plenty of little things that we can do that can make an enormous change, because once one person does it, then their friend group will do it, and then their family will do it, and then the community will do it, and it will just grow and grow and grow. So kind of all just starts with getting educated and learning what we can do on an individual level.
Absolutely.
So of course, the first thing that I'm going to talk about, because I am a vegan myself, but veganism and vegetarianism. I mean, there's been dozens and dozens of studies published that show that plant-based diet, or mainly plant-based diet, is arguably the most effective sustainable measure that can be taken in ensuring a sustainable lifestyle. There's just another chart here just showing like the carbon footprint and carbon emissions that are like distributed based off of like the industry where that food is coming from. Obviously beef being the highest, and as you go down, it goes into more plant-based stuff. But yeah, just to the left on the side, I kind of just have a quote from the EAT Lancet Commission talking about how a global shift towards more plant-based foods it's what we need to do in order to create a better future for us, but also for future generations. And this is another thing I'm really passionate about, tofu and soy myths. Man, I can go on forever about this. It's really unfortunate that a lot of people misconstrue information surrounding tofu and soy, thinking that the amount of estrogen that's in soy will cause cancer, breast cancer, anything along those lines. But one thing I really want to identify and debunk is the estrogen thing. So soy does have a high level of estrogen, but it's not human estrogen. It's called phytoestrogen. So it's plant estrogen. So it doesn't really like combine with us. Like it doesn't raise our estrogen levels whatsoever. In fact, a lot of studies have shown that it can neutralize our hormone balance. These are just a couple, like there's so many benefits to eating tofu and soy, but these are just a couple of the things. And I didn't put the source, I'm so sorry, but I promise these come from very accredited sources. But I was reading up on like possible cases or case studies that have been done to show like, if one group eats mainly soy and the other group mainly doesn't, what's the comparison between these two? And I read up that a study published in the Journal of the Clinical Cancer Research shows women in Asian countries who tend to consume high amounts of soybean-based foods throughout their lifetime have rates of breast cancer that are 5 times lower than those of women in the United States. That's a crazy statistic, but I just want everyone to be aware soy is not bad for you. It's a great source of protein. It's really good for you. And also it's pretty environmentally sound, at least in comparison to other meat-based proteins. So. But yeah, another thing that we can do is just simply growing stuff. We saw like a huge in-home gardening boom this past pandemic, I guess. Everyone started growing their own plants or making their own garden in their backyard, which is amazing. But even just something as simple as like growing your own basil plant or growing your own cilantro plant, something like that, it makes more of an impact than you can think, because you don't have to drive to the store to buy the thing. In that case, then they don't have to drive the product to the store, and they don't have to use the pesticides to grow the product. It's kind of like a wave thing. But yeah, I was just really happy to see in this, the one good thing that came out of the pandemic was the amount of people that were growing things at home. It was really great to see. Shopping locally. So that could be, a really popular thing is farmer markets. They usually happen every Sunday, or you could shop locally grown produce at the supermarket. Most of the time, products that are locally grown will have a sticker that say locally grown on it. I think it's most prevalent in like honey, or shopping in your backyard if you have a garden of your own. Similar to what I said before about growing your own stuff, grocery shopping locally reduces carbon emissions because of the lack of the transportation, but it also puts money back into your community and back into local farmers' pockets. I know of a couple farmers markets that happen in Central Florida. There's one in Windermere, there's one in Maitland, there's one in Lakeland, Winter Park. They're kind of just everywhere. And they usually happen every Sunday from like 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. So it'd be really cool if you guys could come out to one of those one time. And reducing food waste. So the little statistic that I have to the left, approximately 30 to 40% of the total food supply is wasted. While the majority is wasted by supermarkets and retailers, which is something that really needs to be emphasized, they are the major wasters, I guess. We still need to do our part in eliminating food waste on an individual level. And this can be seen in a lot of different ways. I mean, I think the most marketed way right now is meal planning. That kind of blew up on TikTok. People would film themselves like creating the food and then portioning it out throughout the week. Not only is that good for you, like how to measure how much food you have, but it's also really good for your budget. It's really budget friendly. Grocery shopping with a list. I'm sure everyone can relate to this, but if you ever go into a grocery store and grocery shop while you're hungry, you're going to buy way more food than you need. It's a lot better to just come in prepared with a list, know exactly what you need. That way you don't, accidentally buy like 3 packs of Oreos on accident. But the third thing you can do, it's very powerful. Inventory the food that you already have. I don't know if this is just me or if this is everyone, but there has been a lot of times where I have just completely forgotten about that thing that's in the back of my pantry, and I'll buy it 2 more times, not knowing it's back there. So I just have way too much like flour or something. So making sure you know what's in your pantry or in your refrigerator. I actually started keeping a list, like physically writing stuff down and just posting it on the front of my pantry or the front of my refrigerator. So I know exactly what's in there. So I don't go and buy it 1 more time or, whatever. So that's a really good way to keep track of everything. And the fourth thing could be repurposing your food. So you can kind of be creative with this one. Pickling is great. I come from a Russian family, so we pickle pretty much everything, tomatoes, pickles. But it's a great way to save your food because it will last forever. Like it'll never go bad. You can also try freeze drying. That's a great thing to do with like your fruits if they're about to go bad. Or even just putting them in the freezer for smoothies and stuff, like cutting up the banana that's about to spoil and freezing it. Or just like even creating like treats for your pets. Like there's certain foods that are healthy for dogs, like peanut butter and stuff. If you have too much of that, then they would really appreciate if you made them like a little treat with it. But composting, this one is super great. So in 2015, food waste was the largest component of landfill waste in the United States, making up 22% of total landfill material. Yeah, I mean, in Julian's slides, we saw the Orange County landfill and how that was like 1% probably of how the entire thing looks. I mean, it's massive. But the major part of composting that's so beneficial is that we get to bypass the amount of methane that seeps into like our water supply into our soil, because we had a hive a couple weeks ago with Charlie Pioli, I think that's his name, Pioli. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but he's the owner of O-Town Compost, which you guys should definitely look into. They're awesome. But he educated us on the process of, food waste and how landfills work and all that stuff. And he told us about methane emissions. I honestly had no idea about it, but because the way that it goes is they'll dump the waste into the landfill and then they'll just cover it with dirt and then do it again and again and again. And because all that waste, the food waste, isn't getting oxygenized, methane is just seeping into our soil and our water, and it's extremely toxic. And it's just bad for the environment in general. So one way we can stifle that process is by doing our own little composting. Thankfully, it's kind of blown up in social media. I saw Target started selling their own little composting bins, which is awesome. And O-Town Compost is making it even easier because they will valet your compost to their own personal composting place in Winter Garden. So you guys should definitely check them out. But yeah, composting, very good. Buying products with less packaging. I think this might be one of the easiest, like no-brainer ways to be more sustainable in your eating habits. As we all know, plastic packaging is just very bad. It's particularly bad for our oceans. At the rate at which plastic is accumulating in the oceans of the planet, it's predicted that by 2050, the mass of plastic in the world's oceans will exceed the mass of all the fish that live there. That just blew my mind when I read that. That is a very scary thought. So the way that we can not let that happen is by simply taking a more mindful approach to when we grocery shop. So like these two are like the pictures that I have here. They're just 2 perfect examples. when you buy your eggs, try to buy them with like cardboard and not plastic. Or when you get your grains, legumes, and nuts, get them from the bulk section rather than pre-packaged. It's actually a lot cheaper that way as well. And you can bring your own little baggies to package them up too. And then here I just have like another example. You know, the picture on the top, all of that is just plastic, and all of that is going to take like 2,000 years to disintegrate. Whereas the bottom picture, no plastic. Another thing that's really simple is, at least I do this when I go to the grocery store and I'm getting produce. I don't use the little green bags that they give you to put the produce in. I just put it in the cart, because you're going to have to wash it when you get home anyway. So it's just like a simple little way. Also, bringing your own like reusable bags to the grocery store is great too. So you don't have to use the plastic bags. I really hope Florida jumps on that train, because there's a couple of states now in the US that I know New York, at least New York City, is really good about it. They like charge you to buy like a plastic bag from the grocery store. So I really hope we start doing that soon.
Yeah, they're like 10 cents. It's not cheap.
Yeah. Shopping at sustainable, conscious grocery stores. So Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Sprouts, they do a great job in ensuring that the majority, if not all of their food, is sustainably sourced and ethically sourced. So they kind of do the work for you. They also do I know Sprouts definitely does a great job of labeling which foods have like allergens, or which foods are vegan or vegetarian. So that makes it even easier. I know Whole Foods is like super expensive. I'm a college student. I completely understand, but a great alternative to that would be Aldi. I did some research on Aldi, and apparently they're really, really good about that. They don't provide you with the bags. You have to pay to carry your food out unless you have your own bag with you. And they have a lot of standards put into place that make sure that they're working as an environmentally sound company. So also they're really great to their employees as well. But an even better option than the stuff I just listed would be local small business health food stores. Chamberlain's is a couple locations in Central Florida. The only one that I'm familiar with is the location in Dr. Phillips. But Sustain Natural Market is great too. They're located in Longwood. There's both. I know Sustain is family owned for sure. I'm not sure about Chamberlain's, but I've been in Sustain, I don't know, a lot of times now. And I know the staff, they're great. They have a great like selection. They sell stuff in bulk as well. And it's not just food, it's like supplements, and they have hair care and all that stuff. So you guys should definitely check them out if you get the chance. Eating organic. So there are several ways that we as a community can start eating more organically. Whether that be by going to the farmers markets and getting the bulk of your food there, or going to the community garden, or planting your own garden and harvesting from there. I know there's a lot of discourse surrounding like, well, is organic and inorganic food, aren't they the same? Isn't just more expensive, like all that stuff. But that is definitely not the case. We had another Hive meeting about this a couple weeks ago, where we spoke with a representative from the Farmers Association, and she kind of educated us on how horrible the pesticides are, not only to the food, but also to the farm workers and the people who consume the food. So us. I did a little research of my own just to like show you an example of just one of the pesticides, because it's not like they just use one, they use like several, and they just kind of layer it on there, which is not awesome. And it kind of like seeps in there. So it's not like you can just wash it off either. But there's this pesticide, I know I'm going to mispronounce it, but it's called Chlorpyrifos. It's largely used. And unfortunately, it is proven to have been linked to learning disabilities in children. So it could lead to lowering of the IQ, ADHD, and developmental delay. And these studies were conducted by both the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and California's Department of Pesticide Regulation. Hawaii already banned this use of this pesticide a couple of years ago. The pesticide was banned from being used in households a long time ago, but it hasn't been banned from being used on crops. I know California is currently trying to ban it, considering that is the majority of where our food comes from. So it'd be great if they actually got to it, but that's just one of the pesticides that they use. So definitely try to eat organic if you can. It's better for you, it's better for the farm workers, it's better for the environment, it's better for animals, it's just better for everyone. Finally, arguably the most important measure that you can take is initiating conversations about food. You know, it all starts with a conversation, just like how we're doing now. This is a great example of how effective and impactful just a simple sit-down conversation can be. From my own personal experience, I have been vegan for 5 years now, and before then I was vegetarian. And just through talking and educating and exposing, I've been able to, I guess, convert my parents to also a plant-based lifestyle, my roommate to a plant-based lifestyle. And yeah, it's just about talking to people, not necessarily berating them or, you know, making them feel little or dumb or anything like that. Just some of this information, or most of this information, is not accessible. Not a lot of people are capable of reading through super lengthy research documents or case studies or stuff like that. So yeah, Thanksgiving would have been a great time to do that, but it's already passed. But in the future, you know, if you ever feel the need to tell someone like, well, inorganic foods are actually very different, or this is why being vegetarian is great, or, you know, one of those things, you should definitely take that leap and just see where it goes.
Thank you so much, Melissa.
Yeah.
Awesome. Joelle, you want to take it away?
All right, so I'll be starting the little segment about sustainable shopping, which I wrote how to indulge in retail therapy while minimizing environmental damage. One of the first categories that I think is important now that like everybody's starting to like go out again and all that, is in-person shopping. And it's easy to like just pick up a plastic bag or to just like shop like you used to, but it's also just as easy to start a new habit, you know? One of my favorite things to do is to try to find local shops, which will probably not like get their products from like big corporations and big industries and big factories that like provide air pollution and stuff like that. A lot of like places to shop locally, even like from like small creators and vendors at like farmers markets. Like I love getting jewelry and stuff at farmers markets. I also find that it's like more unique and it's like a little bit different than like what you would just see at like someplace like Walmart or like a big shop like that. Another thing that you can do is to look for sustainable packaging. Like the other day, I needed new deodorant and I bought deodorant that was like in cardboard. It was just like a sustainable little natural deodorant, and all of it is like recyclable when I'm done with it. So I can just kind of like pop that in the recycling bin. And that's like one less little plastic container that I could have thrown away. And one of like, I feel like it's the most obvious one, and I feel like a lot of people are doing this now, like way more than I'm used to seeing, is to like just bring a reusable bag. Because like, yeah, it might not seem like a big deal to get one plastic bag like when you shop once, but like if you keep going shopping and you keep getting like multiple plastic bags, like it really adds up, and it all just ends up in like the environment and at beaches and stuff like that. So here are some photos. Looking for something that says like sustainable packaging at the bottom, or like recyclable, like Julian was saying earlier in his recycling presentation, is like super important, just to make sure, like, even though something may look like sustainable or whatever, it's always like a good idea to just check just in case, because some things that look recyclable actually aren't. And like, you just want to make sure that you're making like the right decision. Here's like a light bulb in like a more sustainable package instead of in a plastic box. And also, I feel like buying like soaps and hygienic products and also like different things from small vendors is like way nicer, because one, usually I feel like, in my opinion, they have like more unique smells and like stuff like that. And two, you can ask like most places like not for it to come in plastic, or it's just to give you like the bar. And it's like like one bar of soap from like one of those farmers market places like lasts a long time. Like, I've been working on this gigantic bar of soap that I bought one time, and it's like, to me, it smells better, and it lasts like a longer time than if you were to just like keep buying soap in a little plastic box from like Target or Publix or whatever. The next is online shopping, which is definitely like huge now. Like, who would have thought like 20 years ago that most of our shopping would have been like online with just literally a click of a button? And with that, like with how easy online shopping is, it's also easy to overconsume. Again, like Julian was saying in his presentation, like overconsumption is one of the biggest problems. Because yeah, you can shop more sustainably, but I feel like the best way to shop more sustainably is to shop less. You know what I mean? And to just make sure that before you buy something, you're kind of asking, do I need this? Will I use this more than once? Is this like something that I really like need, or is it just something that I'm just getting as an impulse buy? And also, online shopping is so easy because you can just open a new tab, copy and paste that business name, and then ask like Google if it's sustainable, or what kind of practices do they do? Do they outsource their labor? Like, what are their packaging like recyclable and stuff like that? Supporting sustainable practices, like even online shopping, I feel like is almost easier than if you were to in-person shop, because like it's so easy. Like, you don't even have to move that many muscles to like open a new tab and like do a little bit of research as to what you're buying. And like, because it may seem like you're just buying one thing, but you're also like buying the labor that went into it, into the packaging, and for somebody to deliver it to your house and stuff like that. Another thing to add, which can be seen here, is everybody uses Amazon, especially now that the holidays are approaching. And if you go to smile.amazon.com, you can actually donate to a charity with your purchase. And that's just like a little way of like giving back and making sure that you're doing like a good deed, even if you are like buying something from Amazon. And Ideas for Us is actually on Amazon Smile, if you guys would like to do that. And it comes at no extra cost to you. It's just like Amazon donating to charity, which I think is like pretty cool. It's like a little different way to like spice up your online shopping, making sure you're like doing something for the planet. And here I show like, thinking about something before you buy, opening a new tab, and just doing like a little simple research. Like, it can really just be as simple as like searching, Target.com sustainable, or like Urban Outfitters sustainable, like seeing where like the clothes that you're buying and stuff like that are from. The next, which I think is like really, really important, is voting with your dollar. I feel like we tend to think like, I'm just going to buy this, it's whatever. But your dollar is like, basically you vote every day with your dollar. Like, really, you're supporting or not supporting something when you buy something. Like what Melissa was saying with her presentation, like when you buy more organic things or buy more vegan options or whatever it is, you're incentivizing those companies and showing them that like those things sell more than like inorganic things or like non-vegan things and whatever. So when you think you're just like buying something for yourself, you're actually like gathering statistics for these big corporations, and you can actually like show them that like sustainability sells. And like it should actually, you're like showing them that sustainability is a selling point to its consumers, which it should be. Like, you should want to buy something that's more sustainable than if it's not. And if you want to buy something purposefully because it's not sustainable, then I don't know what you're doing on this Zoom. Like, so yeah. Researching companies, as I was saying before, it's like, it seems like when people first started telling me like, oh, you should probably like research like before you buy it, I'm like, that seems like a lot of work. Like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna click add to cart and be done with it. But it's actually, especially since I did a research project about fast fashion at my school, and a lot of people like had no idea where their clothes were from or like anything like that. And it was way simpler than I thought it would be to like look into these companies. Like, it was just one little search away from like Forever 21 sustainable, and then you can already see in like the first 5 Google searches like what kind of practices they have, like if they're a fast fashion company and stuff like that. And you can also like see, it's also very important if a company like outsources their labor or not, because outsourcing labor, even though like it may not seem like a direct environmental issue, it's like also like a human rights issue of like whether or not you want like your clothes to be made by like little international children that like get paid like 2 pennies an hour. And like, it's just important to be able to like exactly vote with your dollar and vote towards like something that's made in the United States, like giving somebody in the United States a job over some like children in like developing countries. Fast fashion, which I'm segueing into, is a lot of people actually did not know what fast fashion was when I did my research project. And it actually came as a shock to me because I feel like now it's like picking up on like Instagram and TikTok and like social media and things. And I feel like it's a way bigger issue than what it used to be. So basically, in a nutshell, fast fashion decreases like the quality of clothing and increases like the quantity of clothing. And the way they do that is by outsourcing their labor and creating garments that don't last as long, that are just like a lower quality and are cheaper to produce, so that they can just sell more. So in the past like 10 years, fashion trend cycles have been like way faster than they used to be. So like, it used to be like there were 2 to 3 like fashion cycles in a year, and so maybe you would replace your clothes like 2 times a year. But now in like a new like a modern fashion cycle, people replace their clothes 50 or more times a year, which is like really crazy to think about, just like always buying new clothes and buying from companies that like outsource their labor. And when, again, like the biggest problem, like I feel like this is all going to come back to with sustainable shopping, is overconsumption. Fast fashion incentivizes people to buy more clothes because it's like, oh, this is out of trend, like I'm not going to get it anymore, like I need to like replace it, I need to get something new. And like even at thrift stores, which are supposed to have like, I guess like vintage clothing, you already find things from like Shein, which is like one of the most popular fast fashion brands online, which like sells their like clothes for like really like dirt cheap. And you already find those garments at like thrift stores because people have already like given them away and started replacing them. And that store hasn't even been popular for that long. Like, it just puts things in perspective for you. The next thing that I'm gonna show you is, these are some brands that I actually researched in my research paper at school. And these are some of the most popular fast fashion brands. So here are some brands to try to stay away from. Forever 21, ASOS, Shein, Zara, H&M. I know H&M now is trying to take a shift to be a little bit more sustainable, but in the past, all of these companies use outsourced labor, and they're also just like really bad for the environment. They promote overconsumption, and their clothes are just not as high quality as something that you would get from like sustainable fashion brands, and like something that will like last you a long time. And next slide. I know that it can really seem like overwhelming to like notice all this stuff and be like, oh my God, I'm contributing to like something bad. But it's so easy to like change your patterns. Like, it's way easier than you think it's going to be. There's like, as Julian said earlier, there's buying secondhand. Thrifting is like one of my favorite things now. It's genuinely so much fun. It's like a little treasure hunt. I'm wearing the jeans that I'm wearing right now. You can't see them, but they're thrifted. And like I tend to find more unique pieces, and like I get to develop my own personal style when I get to like thrift and when I get to buy things secondhand. And even if you don't want to like shop in person, there's apps like Depop, Poshmark, where you can buy secondhand clothes. And a lot of the time, they're like really, because like older stuff tends to be more high quality because it was meant to last for a long time. And you can find some like really cool, like nice brands for like way cheaper than what they used to be, like consignment and stuff like that, if you're looking for something fancy. And also something that I've gotten into since quarantine is like upcycling my clothes. It's actually like way more simple than people make it out to be. Like you don't actually need a sewing machine, but like just spicing up the stuff that you already have can like make for like a whole new like piece of clothing. Like old jeans that you don't like, you can make them into shorts. You can I took a pair of old jeans and I embroidered, like I was just bored one day and it was not as hard as it looks. I embroidered little hearts on the pockets, and like it just like now they're like they used to be my least favorite jeans, and that's why I like wanted to mess around with them, and now they're my favorite. You can like tie-dye old shirts. There's like literally the possibilities are endless, and it's like so much fun. It's like a little project you can get together with your friends, and you can do like a little party where you like exchange clothes or you like upcycle. It's fun to do. And now with the holiday season approaching, I know this is like the time of year where everybody buys so much stuff, but there are also like alternatives to just buying somebody a gift, because it seems like really, like think about how much you buy during the holiday season and think about how many gifts that you get that are kind of like repetitive. Like, do you really need another candle? No. Like, do you really need another candle? I got my birthday was last week and I got at least 10 candles. Like there are like people need to like, you need to start doing some things that are like unique, and it doesn't always have to be like expensive to do like a unique gift, or to even do something that's more sustainable or that will like last longer for the person that you're gifting. Some of my favorite gifts, some ideas is that you could donate to charity in somebody's name if the person that you're giving to like is okay with that, because I know some people like physical gifts, but you could donate to charity or like sponsor an endangered animal in somebody's name. I love houseplants as gifts. I got this plant that's like up here as a gift, and it's like my favorite thing ever. I wake up and I see this beautiful plant around my room. Reusable lifestyle items. This could be like reusable straws are like great stocking stuffers, and like they reduce the amount of plastic straws that you use. Things like bamboo, like forks, knives, spoons, little like sustainable things are like perfect stocking stuffers, or like little gifts for the people in your life. I know not everybody is like comfortable with making art. I think everybody can make art, but not everybody's comfortable with it. But making art is like so much fun. Like I've definitely given like paintings and stuff to my friends, and like they love those gifts. I do ceramics sometimes. I make people like little pots and stuff, and it's like such a fun thing to do, and it's like way more personal. Like if you give somebody like a painting or like something that you made, every time they look at it, they're gonna think of you because you made it. It's like the fruits of your labor. And again, like locally made goods, like jewelry from like farmers markets and from like local vendors and stuff. It's like such a unique gift, and it's like not something that you can find everywhere. And I think that the best thing to remember throughout all of this is that overconsumption is like the real problem. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can buy like these different things in place of other things, or you can just like cut back how much you're buying. You know what I mean? Which I feel like is honestly a little bit more effective at helping the environment. But yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. That was really informative. I learned so much from all three of you, and I'm super excited to take my knowledge and put it to use. And also from the chat, I have learned way more than I thought I would from the chat. So can we keep it going? I would love to hear what are your favorite eco hacks. You can go ahead and unmute or put it in the chat, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm going to kind of say the one that has probably been a really big help to me. That also kind of goes with fast fashion, recycling your clothes, is just cutting up your clothes and turning them into rags. Saves a lot of money on paper towels, and it works just as well, if not better. Saves paper, and it repurposes old clothes. So that is definitely one of the biggest ones that I practice most religiously. But yeah, I'd love to hear yours. Please go ahead and drop it in the chat and unmute if you're comfortable with it.
I think one of my favorite things is to, like, after you're done reading a book, you should just like give it to somebody else, and you can do like a book swap with your friends. I like reading a lot, so that one's like my favorite. If you don't like reading, obviously not for you. But doing like book swaps with your friends, that way you only like buy one book, and then you can all like switch around with your friends. You can do a little book club, and also like textbooks for school and like little books that you have to get for school. If you donate them back to the school, it's like instead of just keeping it forever and then like ending up throwing it away in like 10 years, like there's probably somebody at school that like can't afford a book or like needs a book and doesn't mind getting one used, that could like honestly use the book more than you will after you're done with your class and stuff like that.
Heck yeah, actually that really brings up a good point. Recycling, all the things that you can't really recycle, we at Ideas for Us, we host swap shops. So this is where you can bring your old clothes and exchange them for new ones. So basically you can bring anything you don't want anymore, something that's still nice that, you know, somebody would like. And then you can take home literally whatever you want. And then all of the excess clothes that we don't have a place for, we take to out of the closet. But I'm really interested in learning about other thrift stores that, you know, doesn't just go ahead and throw it away. If anybody knows of any, I know the Goodwill is just a little sus, so probably not them. But if anybody else has any ideas for stores that we can donate to, please let me know, because we usually have tons of bags at the end. Last time we gave at least half of it to a women's center, so they took whatever they could. So just any ideas for that would be great. We also, Joelle's idea, which is I'm super excited about, are doing a book swap shop in the new year. So we're doing a clothing exchange in January, and hopefully, yeah, Salvation Army is great. Awesome, keep them coming, guys. And we are doing the book exchange in probably March. We're also hoping to do a electronic waste recycling drop off in January. So just keep an eye out for all of that. But does anybody else have any ideas that they want to share that they think is a really good sustainable life hack? One thing that I also want to add on Melissa's point is she's absolutely right when it comes to like making those decisions really does change the market as well. You know, if you guys, like Joelle said, voting with your dollar, if you're choosing and like demanding sustainability, it will show up. And veganism is a really great example of that, because you know, back in the day they just had like almond milk, which I don't like almond milk, and so I wasn't gonna get the non-dairy version. But now there's all of these options that taste way better. Yeah, absolutely. I love all these. Definitely check out the comments, I mean the chat, please.
To add on to Joelle's point, getting a library card. It's super easy. I've never really done it before, but this year I got one, and you just give the books back and you never have to pay for a book. It's pretty great.
Heck yeah.
You don't even have to go. They'll send it to your house, if anything. So yeah.
I didn't know they did that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I did not know that they could send it to your house. That's so cool. What the heck?
I just got mine today. It's perfect.
Yeah, the library, and also if you have like, if you're willing to invest a little bit, I got a Kindle, and I originally got it for the purpose, like I didn't want to buy any ugly books like with ugly covers, but I wanted to like read them. And that's not what I originally got it. But now it's like so easy. It's like lighter. I brought it with me when I was traveling, and it was just like so much easier. And the books, like obviously you're gonna have to like read a lot to get like a return on your investment, but the books are like cheaper to buy on the Kindle than they are like the physical books. Like you buy the Kindle and then it's like $2 for like a good big novel. It's like it's way cheaper than like buying like the $20 book.
I love
If
my
you-
readers out there. Go ahead.
Oh, the audiobooks and regular ebooks as well. You can get through the your local library, like Orange County Library. So you can
Awesome.
borrow them on. I have a Kobo, not a Kindle, so you can use the app called Overdrive. It's
Okay,
Overdrive, and then you use that app to go through your library system to borrow books. And you can also do audiobooks through an app called Libby. You can get it on your phone too. You don't even need a Kindle or a Kobo or anything like that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I love the bamboo toothbrush trend going on. I use them myself. They are very nice. They work just as good, if not better. And they do not rot as fast as people think they do. People think that buying things in bamboo is just going to go bad, but definitely doesn't. Any other suggestions? Eco hacks, eco brands. That's something that I've had a really hard time finding because I'm making my Christmas list and I am trying to find things sustainably sourced. I really want to buy like clothes for Christmas. Well, you know, I just can't thrift pants, guys. I don't know how you guys find pants in the thrift stores. Like it's impossible for me to find well-fitting pants. So I want to find a sustainable brand. So if anybody has any, please drop them in the chat. I know Grove Collaborative is really good for like household products as far as sustainability goes. So check them out. Sustainable, well, I guess I'll get into that. All right, so just keep dropping it in the chat. I'm going to keep going, but please continue to add your eco life hacks. Now I'm going to talk about taking action in your community and steps to take to actively fight climate change. Something I really want to emphasize when we're talking about this is, you know, people are really bogged down by climate change, as that's well aware, and people know that. But I want everybody to not feel like climate change is their fault, because it certainly is not. We know that climate change can be, or most of the greenhouse gas emissions can be attributed to 100 corporations, but everybody should hold themselves accountable for their individual actions, because us as a collective, us as a community are making the decisions that are causing corporations to act a certain way. So do not blame yourself and feel guilty, but definitely do your best to take these steps that we just talked about. And you can make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, and that's totally okay. It's just making conscious decisions in your everyday life. And something that I have found that helps me a lot is surrounding myself with like-minded people. Having sustainably minded roommates, shout out Jordan, helps a lot too. And just kind of being in the environment where people are all striving for a better life and a better planet. So what action looks like I was saying, individual accountability is really important. Taking steps in your own life to reduce your impact. Volunteering, attending events, and supporting organizations like you all are doing right now. So I know you guys know that one. Advocating and voting, spreading the mission to your friends and family over various platforms, and always making sure to use your voice. So this is a great quote from Mia Armstrong. Although the magnitude of climate change may make individuals feel helpless, individual action is critical for meaningful change. Because like I said, all of us make up a community. All of us as a cumulative group make the decisions, whether it's voting or voting with our dollar or just everyday decisions. This is just to kind of put it in perspective. Each individual uses between 80 and 100 gallons of water a day. This is because showers take sometimes 50 gallons, depending how long you shower. Every time you flush the toilet, depending on how old your toilet is, it's between like 5 to 10 gallons of water. And then also, I think that also includes the food that you eat. So if you're eating meat, that can also include that. But I'm not even sure if that includes that, because that would make the number go way higher. average individual uses on average between 4.5 pounds a day. I think that includes food waste, but everyone also produces around a pound of food waste a day. This isn't super in line with the other things that I just said, but I saw the statistic in a research article, and I'll add the link if you guys want, but households are responsible for 72% of the greenhouse gas emissions. So we're like, all these coal companies are causing climate change. Well, why are the coal companies getting coal? Because we need it for our systems and our industries and our cars. And it's not cheap to make that switch, but making decisions and kind of moving our culture towards more sustainable practices is how we're going to make the change on a larger scale. So reducing your consumption by half. So, incorporating the things that we talked about today can save over 16,000 gallons of water a day, 800 pounds of waste a year. Oh, sorry, a year. This is all year. 16,000 gallons of water a year, 800 pounds of waste a year, and 180 pounds of food, which is wild. So that's 1 year, and that is only just reducing your consumption by half, which is not that impossible as long as you're educated and you're giving yourself grace so that you can keep your morale up. Because if you're going to be super hard on yourself, you're not going to want to continue. But if you give yourself grace and allow yourself to sometimes, get a burger if you really need one, that's okay. Just make sure that you are keeping in mind all the things that we talked about today too. And then holding the responsible accountable. So it's true that most of the global environmental impact is done by 100 corporations. And when I was trying to look up those corporations, I thought I was going to see like Nestle and Coca-Cola, but it's actually all coal companies. But that is not to say that the corporations that are causing a lot of the other environmental detriment are not also extremely important to hold accountable. So that would include Nestle. It's also important to see what companies are owned by which other companies. So like Kellogg's, I'm pretty sure is owned by Nestle, if I'm not mistaken. And then Tyson owns a bunch of dairy companies. And so these big mother corporations are causing a ton of environmental detriment, and you think you're not supporting them by buying some one of their side pieces. Sorry, word choice. You're buying from one of their other businesses. So it's really important to just like do your best to know who is owning what. And that can be difficult. I really wish there was just a documentary that just like had all that information out there. But all it takes is just maybe an hour of doing some solid research, and then you can kind of make those decisions that way. So honestly, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to put this in the chat. So check out some of the companies that I was talking about. Okay, back to that. You guys can see the presentation still, right? Cool. Awesome. And then advocating and voting. So using your voice is really important, and your online presence goes a long way. If people didn't want to see what you are posting, they can unfollow you. It's really great when people are posting informational things on social media. I think that is the way that movements are made now. So do that. Make all your posts. Do the educational stuff. Try and double check and make sure that it's properly sourced and correct information. But I have learned so much just from the people that I follow and scrolling on Instagram. I didn't go on Instagram to learn something, and yet I learned about all these things that were happening. So please keep that up. That is how we are going to change the world, by educating each other. It's important to remember that everybody started somewhere. Everybody started caring about sustainability because of something that they heard or seeing one of their friends take action. So that person has probably already been you several times. People aren't always going to tell you, but you really do make an impact on people. Even just going to the grocery store and saying, hey, can you wrap my fish in paper instead of plastic? You made an impact on that person. So don't feel like an inconvenience. You can take those steps and ask those questions and educate people online to make sure that we are going in the right direction. Use your facts. Like I've been saying this whole time, be educated and informed on current affairs in order to have a productive conversation. This is really tricky. It's hard for me to do it too, because you want to enjoy your life as well. And it's nice to just be in bliss, but not everybody has the privilege to do that. So I think it's important that we do take it upon ourselves to know what's going on in the world, to educate other people, and to do our best to be a part of the solution. And doing your research can be challenging, but just find a good documentary and just put it on when you're going to sleep or while you're doing your homework. I think that can go a really long way. And then, of course, use your vote. Voting in all elections, local and national. So local is actually sometimes more impactful because the people that you put in local government actually make really big decisions that have to do with like the ecological health and the conservation of certain lands. So when you're voting in these elections and you're voting in these people, sometimes they are even running unopposed, and it's very easy to run for local government. It's not hard, and you can go in there and make a really big impact for the greater good just by caring and just by showing up. So not only vote if you're able to, like that's a really great career choice, or even just like a pastime. It's not even always a full-time job. So local government, like Angie said, who works in local government, so you can believe her, affects us more directly. There's also a way that you can just show up to certain ordinances. I think there was a fertilizer ordinance today that hopefully went well. Angie, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it just takes the community going out to these open forums that they have in Orange County local government building. I don't know what it's called. Angie, you can put it in the comments where they're supposed to go, but it's in downtown. You just show up, sit there, they call for the people to talk, and you go and you share your voice, and it really goes a long way. And then volunteering and supporting organizations is super important, and that's what you guys are doing here today. So attending action events. There are so many incredible groups that are really doing the most work out there. So action events can take a lot of different forms. Sometimes, especially in the political season, they'll have you make phone calls for them to educate people, help you do different social media posts, but also, especially with Ideas for Us, we do a lot of hands-on eco solution projects. So we're actually going out there and planting those trees, restoring those shorelines with native shoreline plants, cleaning up our waterways, and so much more. So if you're interested, please make sure to follow us, because this is honestly a great opportunity to actually get your hands dirty and see the physical effects of your ecological restoration of our land here. And we would love for you to be a part of it more. But also, I want to give some shout outs to other groups that also do a lot of education and action. So Orlando Permaculture, Poder Latinx, Farm Workers Association, Florida Native Plant Society. And there's so many more. And I'm going to give you guys a second to like drop it in the chat. If you're a part of an organization or a group that you want to plug in here and get people involved, please go ahead and put that in the chat now. And also donating to support projects. I don't know if you guys know this, but today is Giving Tuesday. And so that means on Facebook, Meta, I don't know, you can go in and donate, and Mark Zuckerberg is going to double everything that's donated. So Ideas for Us has a fundraiser going on right now. If you're able to, we would love any kind of contribution, but there's a ton of organizations doing their Giving Tuesdays right now. So definitely check it out. Thank you, Angie, for putting on the Board of County Commissioners meeting. It's not as scary as it sounds. I went to one and it's actually pretty chill. So highly recommend. It's very Parks and Rec vibes in a good way. So yes, please go ahead and share your organizations in the chat or out loud. Central Florida Waterway Cleanup Meetup Group. That's really cool. I would love to partner with them. Honestly, also if you put your organization in the chat, I'm gonna email you. But yes, there's so many different ways to get involved. It's not always gonna look the same. Sometimes it's gonna look like actually planting things, and sometimes it's gonna be a little bit more digital or verbal, audio, whatever it is, it goes a really long way. And get involved. Please follow us at Ideas for Us Orlando, because that's where we're going to post all of our events. We actually have some really good ones coming up that I'm going to share now. We have our Hive meeting tomorrow evening, and what that is basically our monthly educational meeting where we bring in an expert on a topic. They do a presentation, and then we transition into a brainstorming think tank where we're asking the community, what do we do about this? And then we actually take those ideas that were talked about in the Hive and we turn them into different eco-action projects and programming. If you've ever heard of fleet farming, that's actually how that started, was from a Hive meeting and the ideas that the community gave us. We have an amazing speaker tomorrow, Dr. Michael Gunter. He's going to talk about climate policy and how we're going to approach this new year, where we're going to have a really big governor election and so much more. So please come out to that. He's going to kind of talk about how it works. I know that I have a lot to learn and I'm very excited for it tomorrow. It's at Audubon Park Covenant Church. And also, so is this event, we have a do-it-yourself sustainable gift workshop. This event's really fun. We do it every single year. We have a ton of different gifts that you can make, including bath salt assortments, loose leaf tea packages, homemade candles with really nice beeswax that we just got. What else? Oh, flower press, bookmarks, and greeting cards. And I think I'm forgetting one. Oh, room sprays. And so all of this is free. You can take a bunch of it home. We ask that you do give a donation of any amount when you are getting your card, your registration, but it's also free. You don't have to do that, but we just ask that to help us out a little bit to get all the supplies. And you can get the registration link on our Facebook, Eventbrite, or Meetup. So please check that out. It's a really fun event. You can come and go as you please. We'll have free cupcakes and plenty of gifts that you can give to your friends and family that are also sustainably sourced. And then we're going to be doing sustainable care kits for women in need. So basically, we're going to be making kits with sustainable menstrual products, socks, hygiene products, and different ways that they can seek help. And they're going to be handed out to at-risk women or women experiencing homelessness. And that is going to be next Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. also at Audubon Park Covenant Church. So please come out to that if you want to do a little extra help for the people who need it most in the holiday season. But that is all we have for you today. Thank you all so much for coming. I would love for you to stay involved. If you have any ideas, like I literally make projects based off of the ideas that you in this call right now give me. So if you have anything that you want to do or you want to see done in the community, please email me. I would love to work with you directly, or you can just give me the idea. Yes, I am going to put that event on Meetup. I thought I did, and then I checked yesterday and it wasn't on there. So that's awesome. Yes, we did a tree planting with Conservation Florida. We're actually doing another tree planting with Conservation Florida next year. So please stay aware of what we're doing through Meetup, Facebook, and Instagram, because we have a ton of eco action projects next year. This month, everything's kind of inside because I don't like being cold. But next year, everything is like super hands-on outside in nature. So stay up to date, sign up for a newsletter on our website. But other than that, thank you guys all so much for coming. Please stay involved. I'd love to see you at our next eco action, and I hope you all have a great rest of your evening. Gonna end the recording now.